Mame fa na se ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de o se dem yopo.
Kwesi Pratt today expresses a deep outrage over a fake prophet and a political aspirant shamelessly using the tragic helicopter crash for cheap publicity. What happens to integrity in Ghana politics? I would like you to join me listen to what he said into detail. This station still remains PENDREAM TV. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos, like and also share to other friends of yours or any platform you belong to. Thank you.
Also, particularly how only a few weeks ago you were eulogizing our very own comrade Mutala Mohammed on Alaji and Alaji for his dedication, particularly to the cause of Pan-African TV, despite the fact that he was then nominated to become minister and had not yet gone through the vetting process. He still chose to appear on the show, and I can bear eloquent testimony to his dedication even to the morning show. I'd call him, inviting him, and he said, look, this station has called me, this other station has called me, but it is Pan-African TV above every other station, and so I'd appear, I'd come. So it's in light of that Comrade Pratt, I'd want you to start this conversation.
Well, I mean, first of all, there's a need to acknowledge that yesterday was very tragic. I mean, to get 8 people, including 2 sitting ministers and a former minister, die in such a manner is most tragic. You know, and it's even difficult to describe how they died. But they died in a manner which gave them no chance of survival. They were virtually trapped into death. And it's exceedingly painful if you come to consider all the circumstances around this tragedy. You understand? Now, it's important for us to note that there are too many charlatans around. There are some charlatans around who take advantage of every opportunity to display their insensitivity and sometimes extreme charlatanry. And this occasion has presented such an opportunity to some of them. There, of course, the charlatans in Kasok, complete charlatans in Kasok, fraudsters in Kasok, who have seen this as an opportunity to continue the perpetrating of fraud against their flock and so on. And yesterday I came across a video of somebody who claims to have predicted what had happened, claimed that God had told him. And I got very, very, very angry with this charlatan. Now, if he was in communication with God, and if all the attributes of God are true and so on, I would have expected God to tell him how to prevent the accident. And to have prevented the accident, rather to have just told him for telling's sake, you know. And this charlatan has actually gone forward to also predict that on the 9th of August, more catastrophe will befall us. I think we have to find a way of dealing with this charlatanry, which annoys all of us, which deepens our sorrow when such tragedies occur. I'm completely disgusted by this level of charlatanry. Then there are those who take delight, you know, who enjoy spreading gory pictures and videos and so on. And yesterday I was really surprised that there were citizens who were circulating on social media these gory pictures without reserving a thought to the families and friends and so on who were bereaved. I mean, just imagine, I mean, a daughter of one of these people who was involved in this accident in school, and who goes to a social media platform without prior knowledge that this accident had occurred, and sees the father burning. How cruel and wicked can we be? But this happened yesterday, and I find it most repugnant. I find it excessively repugnant. And then I'm going to plead with you, Bless, to do something which we would normally not have done. But I think it's important for our viewers to know the extent to which some of these persons who claim to be politicians and who aspire to become our leaders behave. They behave in a most atrocious manner. I've seen a leader of a video of somebody who wanted to be president of Ghana. And the kinds of things he says about this accident is shocking. He jumped right into the center and is exploiting this for his cheap politics. I think this should be condemned in the most vehement manner. Most vehement manner. He thinks that he can profit politically from this accident, and it makes me sick, completely sick. You understand? Of course, there are many people around the world who are behaving properly and who are demonstrating sympathy for the government and people of Ghana, especially the bereaved family. And this morning, I read a soul-touching message from President Nicolas Maduro, President of the Republic of Venezuela, and who was expressing his profound sorrow, to the people of Ghana and to the bereaved family. I've also seen a message from the Secretary General, the General Secretary of the Communist Party of Cuba, which I got last night, and which also expresses profound sorrow at what had happened. There are many, many leaders around the world who have been sending messages since the incident happened. And we'd like to thank them for their sympathy. We'd like to thank them for being with us in our moments of grief. Indeed, the President of Algeria has also sent a very soul-touching message, to us, and so on. So for all of them, we like to show appreciation, for their deep concern, and so on. Then, of course, there is the government of Ghana. And from what I've learnt and seen, the president was in pain. He was completely distraught yesterday. So distraught that he had to cancel, most of his official engagements and all. And the report I'm getting from Flagstaff House is that the mourning in Flagstaff House yesterday was deep, very, very deep. There were scenes of many staffers, crying and weeping and so on. And it goes to make the statement that those who passed away did not just pass away in the line of duty, but there were also persons who had endeared themselves to their colleagues and so on. You understand? And I think that's important. Then we must commend the gallantry of people from Adansi, Akrofrom. A helicopter falls from the skies, bursts into flames, and people are rushing with bare hands to go and engage in a rescue effort. That's highly commendable. Very, very highly commendable, And the people of Adansi, Akrofrom deserve our salute for what they displayed, yesterday. I think it's also very, very important to make the point that these gentlemen died in the effort to fight Galamsey. And their death ought not to be in vain. And if their death is not in vain or ought not to be in vain, then we must rededicate ourselves, to the struggle against Galamsey, and we must ensure that Galamsey is completely uprooted within the shortest possible time. That should be our commitment to these gentlemen who lost their lives. The loss of life should not be in vain, and we should do everything and anything possible to ensure that what they died for, is achieved, and all of us have to make that commitment. Most of the people involved in this accident were friends of mine, close friends of mine, and I have many stories to tell about them, most of them. I recall, Dr. Omani Bama, who was president of the National Union of Ghana Students when I first met him. He had come to my office in those days to complain about the distribution of Get Fund or something, and how the then government, was harassing him, according to him, because of the public position he had taken on the matter and so on. So I worked with him on the Get Fund, problem, and students' loan and so on, and interviewed him on a number of occasions, and also published a lot of stories based on statements he had issued then as president of the National Union of Ghana Students. Now, what is interesting is that this was a card-bearing member of the New Patriotic Party. Omani Bama was a card-bearing member of the New Patriotic Party. And yet, he did not hesitate to criticize his own government, his own party, when he felt that his government and party were not doing things that he was comfortable with as a student leader. That was his mark of distinction. So when we eventually decided to form the Committee for Joint Action, which carried out agitations across the country in protest against hardship and all, at the last meeting before the formal announcement of the formation of the committee, I made a point that it was important that the committee is not seen as an extension of the National Democratic Congress, and that the committee ought to be seen as a broad coalition of forces, genuinely committed to a struggle to improve life for the people of Ghana, and not an anti-NPP structure and so on. And that argument was accepted, but then it came to the question of how do we do that? And I suggested that, look, Dr. Omani Bama will be the best person to read the initial statement. Of course, everybody agreed. But everybody thought that it was not possible to get an NPP member to play that role. And I promised that I would do whatever it took, to ensure that it happened. It took a while to locate Dr. Omani Bama, but eventually when I located him and explained the circumstances and so on, he had no hesitation at all in becoming a member of the Committee for Joint Action, in spite of his membership of the New Patriotic Party. And it was because of this that Dr. Omani Bama eventually came to read the first press statement of the Committee for Joint Action. And then he became an active participant in the work. It was through him that we got to people like Kujato Ablakwa, Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, and several others. And through the work that we did, he eventually migrated to the National Democratic Congress and has played many roles, Minister for Communications, I guess, and, several roles. Eventually, he served as the Director of Elections of the National Democratic Congress, and then got appointed as Minister of Defense. I have very close ties with Omani, very close ties. I cannot recount everything. One of the things is that, I mean, people's weddings are very important for them, you know. And for Omani's wedding, he decided that my daughter should be his maid of honor. So Mamiama was the maid of honor at Omani's, wedding. So, and that should tell you how the two families, are close and so on. So I've lost a friend, a very, very good friend, one who has played a key role in my own life and so on. And I want to extend very special, deep condolences to his family, to many of his friends, that also became our friends and so on. In fact, in the case of Omani, I think that we should extend a special message of condolence to Uncle Atuahoy. Because he became like a son to Uncle Atuahoy. I mean, Uncle Atuahoy guided him, he became virtually like his son and so on. And Uncle Atu himself hasn't been very well. I don't know how he's taking this, and I want to extend condolence to Mr. Atuahoy, and also to appreciate what he has done in the lives of all these young cadres that got recruited, into the CJA and eventually into government. And it's not just Omani Boamanka who played a key role in shaping somebody like Samuel Okujato Ablakwa and Felix Oposukwachi and many others, Of course, there's Alhaji Dr. Ibrahim Mutala Muhammad that I had a very special relationship with. He's been a regular panelist on Alhaji and Alhaji all the days from Radio Gold, even before Radio Gold and so on. He's a key feature in Pan-African television. He's on our morning show. He's on Alhaji and Alhaji. Anytime he's invited to any other program, he doesn't hesitate at all. And for me, what was most striking was the fact that, when people normally get nominated for ministerial positions and so on, they hide. Because they don't want to say and do anything which would draw attention to them and make their vetting difficult. Mutala was not one of those people. Even after his vetting, he continued to come on Alhaji and Alhaji, he continued to speak his mind and so on. There was a certain level of confidence and courage which he exhibited. And I've admired him greatly, He is the one who has said repeatedly that he should not be referred to as honorable, and that he prefers the title of comrade to the title of honorable and so on. He said that so many times. I think he's a very distinguished young man who was determined to pay his dues to his society, and so on. And this morning I heard an audio of an interview that he did on one of the Tamale stations. And in that audio, he said that, look, every day when he wakes up, he cannot avoid thinking about death. And that what has shaped him is the fact that he has no control over death. And that it was alleged that he had a problem with his constituency chairperson. That he wanted his constituency chairperson to tell him what the problem was so he could apologize to him before he died. Profound, profound, quite profound and interesting and so on, Dr. Samuel Sapon was Ashanti Regional Minister, I think, some time ago. And I dealt with him in that capacity. Gentleman, really committed to the cause of his party. He knew that I was not a member of the National Democratic Congress. But we could have conversations about, national problems and so on. And I dealt with him on a number of occasions. And I appreciate his intellect and so on. I think at some point, and please correct me if I'm wrong, he got transferred to the Central Region as regional minister, I think. I think, at some point. And for me, that was interesting. It was to repeat what Nkrumah Nachampon had started, of not appointing people to regions and so on the basis of their ethnicity and all. And Dr. Sapon, Dr. Sapon, his family and friends, our deepest, condolences. Alhaji Munuru Muhammad is somebody that I know very, very well. And I happen to know him so very well because his brother-in-law is like a brother to me.
I understand he was transferred to Western Region, rather.
Western Region, thank you. Okay. But then Alhaji Munuru was very close. We ate together. We went to his house on a number of occasions and so on. He was very close to Hassan Ligbi, who is a kingpin in the National Democratic Congress in the Northeast region, especially in the Gambaga Nairugu enclave, And the last time I met him in the house of Hassan Ligbi, and he told me that the president had sent him to the Northern region to go and perform some tasks and so on. We had a very good conversation. His intellectual capacity was very, very high, and I respected him quite a lot. He was humane, most considerate, ready to resolve conflict and all. I also knew him as the Northern Regional Minister, and at the time, A.B.A. Fuseni was his deputy. So I visited A.B.A. Fuseni that I've known for many years, who's been a very close friend and so on, and decided that we should go and see his minister. And that was the first time that I met Alhaji Munuru, and since then, we've remained very, very good friends and so on. I never, in one moment, thought that his death was near. Not just to think about the tragic circumstances in which he's had to pass away. As for the service personnel who died, in this crash, the soldiers, the squadron leader, the sergeant and flying officer and so on, these were men who were doing their job. Yeah. They're doing their job. They had orders to fly these persons to Obuasi. First of all, they couldn't say no. They had to carry out the orders. And they carried out the orders, and they died in the performance of their duties to the state. They deserve to be saluted for this dedicated service to the state. And I'm in sympathy with their families, I'm in sympathy with their friends, and I join in mourning them. And whatever the military ought to do in order to honor their memory and their service, I would urge the military to do so. There's another gentleman who was on the team, and who was on the team apparently because he had been a parliamentary candidate in that area and was generally participating in this fight against Galamsey. We want to extend our condolences to his family, to his friends, and to anybody and everybody who was associated with him. Late last night, we heard that Dr. Ibrahim Mutala Muhammad, his remains will be interred today at Tamale. But this morning we are hearing that it might be postponed. Whatever it is, if we get the announcement much earlier and so on, all of us would like to participate in the effort to salute, this great son of Ghana. So let me leave it here for now.
We have I've been receiving several messages from lots of you who are doing the watching both on Facebook, YouTube, and on WhatsApp. I'll read a few of them before I come to Mr. Philip London. This one here says, "Oh Ghana," and he goes on to say that, and the very few in numbers and the very best so scanty. Why, oh why this wholesome loss? You didn't tell me your name and where you sent your message from. But this one here says that the death of our two ministers, Honorable Maneboama, Honorable Mutala Mohammed, and others have caused great pain to the NDC party and the entire country. We send our condolences to the bereaved family, and all NDC fraternity will wipe every tear from their eyes, and there will be no more death of sorrow or crying or pain. All these things are gone forever. Okay, you quoted a Bible verse there, Revelation chapter 21 verse 4. Thank you very much, Kwablavi, for your message. Lydia Akam says, I can't hold my tears. Julie Belinda Bridge says, it is not easy at all. Lilian Akusia Bediako says, hey, I'm still in shock. I can't stop crying. Ibrahim Abdul Karim Jabbar says, it was very disrespectful to share the videos of the dead. This one here also says that, good morning, bless. Condolences to our lost heroes. We are mourning and crying in pain. This should remind our leaders to know our priorities and do the needful for the citizens. Please, let's prioritize our roads and railway networks to avoid fatal accidents. And secondly, I suggest the president should use this unfortunate loss of our brothers to declare a state of emergency on this nonsense called Galamsey. It is killing us in every sector. Bibi from Musuku sent this one. We'll get to other parts of this particular conversation. Comrade Pratt already mentioned that there are some charlatans in Kasok who are parading, making all sorts of comments about this unfortunate event, and also one supposed politician making very, disdainful comments about yesterday's tragic event. But I'll read two more messages. We go for a short breather, and then Mr. Philip London would also join in the conversation.
Bless.
Yeah.
I think we should make the point.
Yeah.
That we will play this video of this politician.
Yeah, we shall.
But we'll play it as a mark of revulsion.
Yes.
We are revolted against what he has said and done.
Not necessarily to support and spread it.
No, I mean, so we should be pardoned.
Yeah.
I mean, such charlatans need to be exposed. And the only way to expose them is to make their own words paint them for who they are. You understand? So it's painful to play such tapes on a morning like this on television. Very painful. Ideally, we should not play it at all. And we know that.
Yeah.
We understand our responsibilities as a media house and so on. But on the other hand, if such persons are not exposed, they will continue to carry on. And who knows? One day, because we didn't know, we may decide to make them leaders. So we do this as our duty to the state, as our duty to the people of Ghana, to expose these politicians for who they are. And that is why we play this video. It is not an endorsement of the charlatanry. You understand?
Right.
But it is meant to expose, to open up discussion, and to tell people that there are limits to their behavior.
Right. This one here says, the Ghana Armed Forces helicopter crash that killed 8 people, serious investigations must be conducted, even if there is a need to involve international experts, because this is mind-blowing. Abladi from Ifie Kumazongo in Takrade sent this one. 2 more messages, then we go for a short break. This one here says that, okay. All right. some of the things you have shared with me, unfortunately, I can't read on air. But let me do some messages on our Facebook. Wood Eduja says, the pain is unbearable. I am really feeling sad, and with a heavy heart I pray for their peaceful rest. My condolences to the families and Ghanaians. It's a hard departure. This message came from Fearless, thank you for your message. All right, the bereaved families, and formally inform them of the tragic loss, as is done customarily, so she did that. But I don't know if Comrade Pratt, you have heard this, that the president of the country was actually also supposed to be on that flight.
Well, that's a rumor that I'm not going to.
Right.
It's a rumor, and in this time, I think it's important to avoid rumors, to the extent that we can. What is there to say? I think perhaps today, if it is possible, we can show some footage of the devastation that Galamsey has caused to our country.
Yes.
And that will give weight,
Yes.
to the work that these people were doing. Exactly. I commend very, very highly Honorable Ama Kofi Bua for the focus he has put on the fight against Galamsey. And it was an activity that he was organizing to deal with Galamsey, to which these gentlemen were going when they encountered their death. What has happened should not discourage us, should rather encourage us to put everything possible in this heroic fight against Galamsey. We should fight Galamsey to the hilt. That's all I have to say for now.
And also, I'm sure, our brother Alhaji Musa would normally have joined us this morning. I can imagine that he himself too is totally devastated this morning.
Yeah.
So condolences to him too.
Right. Thank you very much. All too soon, our time is up. We've come to the end of the show. I want to thank you very much for your time, even as we all mourn. There's been a huge participation, particularly in today's edition of the morning show. And thank you for all the messages that you have shared with us. Continue to watch Pan-African TV. Those of you who have joined, or those of you who joined us from other parts of the continent, thank you for your time. Those of you who watched on YouTube, on Facebook, South America, thank you so much for always making it a point to be with us. We'll end the show with some videos of Honorable Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, particularly the last time he appeared on the morning show. Do have a pleasant day. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching PENDREAM TV. If you believe tragedies shouldn't be used for political gains, give this video a thumbs up, drop a comment below, and subscribe for more fearless truths. Don't forget to hit the notification icon as well. More exposes are coming your way. Stay tuned for more. Thank you.
PENDREAM TV now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.